asking for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe if I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 64, Rodriguez versus Lamos, live from the Apex in Las Vegas. Of course, another fight night card with limited crowd. Some decent fights on this card, actually. A few decent fights on the main card. I'll be going over those. Breaking them down like usual. Provide some free picks, leans, and what to avoid. Like this video, guys. Like the video. It helps me out a ton. Comment, share. It is much appreciated. Systemsportscapping.com, systemsportscapping.com to become a client today. If you want to get a structured betting system, handicapping currently UFC, NFL, PGA, NBA, NHL, and World Cup is coming soon. Best time, to be honest, to get on board if you like volume. Vegas 63 recap. Vegas 63 recap. Follow also me on social media, guys. Instagram and Twitter, System Capping. Tough to see what happened in the main event, right? Cater hurts himself by just pretty much jumping in the air. I think he missed a kick. Then he fell wrong. His knee buckled, and then he couldn't continue, even though he tried to go out in the second round, but he couldn't barely stand on his knee. It's tough because I wanted to see that fight. I was looking forward to that fight. I thought it was competitive. I did think Allen won round one. I did think it's going to be a competitive fight. I personally wasn't on his side. I do feel for Cater backers. Allen looked good though in the first round. I can't really say he's going to win the fight. It was only one round, but he did look good in round one. Did look like he belonged there, of course. I was on the over 2.5 rounds in a 2-fight parlay with Griffin. Griffin did win, but of course the fight didn't go over 2 rounds. That's going to happen, right? Especially the betting gods probably heard about the 22-4, 85% run, and they said, okay, Cater, your knee's going to buckle. But yeah, that would have been a profitable card for me, but that stuff happens. It's going to happen. Sometimes you're on the right side of it. Sometimes you're on the wrong side of it. So it hopefully evens out for you. Hopefully you're not on the wrong side of injuries like that more than you're not. So what's next for Allen? It's tough. Like, I don't think he's going to get a title shot from that. A rematch with Cater. How long's Cater out? I don't know. But we'll see what happens for Allen. Not a title shot, but I don't think he's far off from it. Maybe one more fight and see if he can get it. I was on Griffin, like I mentioned. I don't understand why it was a split decision. I had Griffin win the fight fairly easily, 29-28. We are wrong Costa as well, the big heavyweight. I took a chance on the finish, though. He won the fight, but didn't get to the finish. And also Ben Askren's son didn't show up. I was on a small unit for that by finish. So no profit this weekend. The 2-fight parlay of Caters did stay healthy. That would have hit. It would have been profitable, but no profit last week. And I did expect some regression after a 22-4 run all fights. We are 23-7 now, client run. Still very impressive. Just under 60 units long term in the UFC market. PGA 13-4 matchup run right now. That's the highlight right now in the matchup market, props market as well. Over 81 units long term in the prop market, guys. Outright market, staying away from it. I do have a few outrights this weekend though, so we'll see if those cash, but I haven't been betting outrights every tournament. Especially in these smaller tournaments, or if I don't see some value, again, very small units, so it's worth a shot sometimes. But I've been limiting my outright marketplace. Mayakoba in Mexico this week, looking forward to that. NFL, a nice week for us, for clients and video viewers. Gave out Browns money line as the underdog and teaser hit as well for you guys. I was all over the Browns. All over the Browns in the market. I love the spot. Money line, teaser, and plus 3.5 on the Browns. 36-21 run in the NFL. Just under 7 units. And highlights are in the total market right now. Total market 71% on the year, guys. NBA and NHL season just started. We are very low volume. Few picks a week, and we've just been up and down so far in the NHL. So far, what else here? Yeah, 70% NHL run going back to last year. 70%. It's volume, right? Lots of volume. It's not, just like a 12-3 run. We're going back to mid last year in the NHL. World Cup's around the corner, guys. I will be handicapping the tournament. I will have a preview video coming out here as well. I'll give you guys some free picks, but I'll preview each division, what I like, maybe even give a World Cup play winner. Remember last Euro Cup was the last video I did in soccer. We hit Italy outright. Gave that outright plus 1,200 for you guys on a free video. But I'll have my client plays to my guys, each match, each match, not just futures. Futures I will give out on the video. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card and some betting advice.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Some betting advice, guys. I'll be doing betting advice, not every video. You can't give betting advice really every video, but I'll do about once a month here, and we are at the beginning of the month. So let's start at the beginning of the month. How I profit long term. How I profit long term on all sports. Whether it's a 60% season up to a 70% season. Either way, we're going to profit somewhat. Whatever the profit is, we're going to profit every year. And how I do it is I'm very disciplined. Discipline is probably maybe one of the most important aspects to betting. Being disciplined. Don't just bet the bet. Don't just bet the bet, You have to be selective. You don't have to bet every day. I don't bet every day. Like, for instance, I didn't have any bets the past 2 days, right? So I'm very selective. It has to fit my system for me to pull the trigger. So don't bet every day. And, of course, I always say it, don't bet big parlays. It looks nice, you're putting, a small amount down to hit 5 games, but you're probably not going to hit 5 games. Once in a while you do. So that draws you in, right? You hit that one parlay, you get all excited. Yeah, I hit the one parlay. What about the 10 you lost? So it draws you in, right? So if you want to profit long-term betting on sports, you have to have a system and you have to bet single games for the most part. Now, I bet 2 team parlays or 2 fight parlays, and those work out for me. When I see 2 favorites I really like, minus 200, minus 250, minus 300, and I parlay it together and get even money or plus money, I'm good at doing those. I profit on doing those, so I do those. But anything above 2 teams is very... I had one, and it was actually last week, 1-3 team, but it was very high money lines that I really liked, and I parlayed it with a hockey, and I still got plus money on it. But that's rare. 2 teamers you can profit on. You just have to limit yourself. Now, if you just play for fun and you just bet parlays and you're playing small unit, go for it. Have fun with it. But you're not going to profit betting on sports by just playing bigger parlays. It just doesn't happen, guys. And like I always mention, have multiple books. Have multiple books. I have books in Canada and US, and it enables to capitalize on the better numbers, the better props. Not every book has the same props. Not every book has the same line. So what I do is I scatter the market, see what the best price is, and bet that. Right? That's how you're going to win more long-term. More units long-term, more money long-term. And one last thing before I end this segment here. Sample example, like for units, right? You can't just start betting wild units. Like, you can't bet 10 units here, 5 units here, 20 units here, 1 unit here. No. Have a structured betting system. Example, 1 unit, half unit is what I mainly play. If it's a bigger plus money or doesn't hit a lot of my system bets that I look for in a bet, I'll even do a smaller than a half unit. Like it's an outright in the golf market. Are you going to put a 1 unit play on an outright in a golf market? No. You're going to put a smaller unit bet, right? So have a structured system. If you bet 1 unit, what does 1 unit equal? $100. What does 1 unit equal? $1,000. What does 1 unit equal? $10,000. Whatever you bet, whatever the amounts that you're betting, have it structured as that, as your 1 unit as a certain amount. Don't just say, decide, today I'm going to put, $250 on this bet and $100 on this bet and, $50 on this bet and maybe 1,000 on this, but no. Have a structured system, and that's how you're going to profit long term. That's what I'm able to do. Now, what I'm able to do is find the winners to do this system, and that's the hardest part. That's what we're able to help out with. So if you want to help out with that, this is a perfect service and system for you. Let's get into it, guys. This video is going to be a little longer because of the betting advice, but hey, it is what it is. I'll be doing betting advice once a month for you guys. If there's anything you want me to talk about or discuss, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll bring it up in the next video. Let's get into it. Rodriguez minus 210 versus Lamos plus 175. Line looks about right. Line looks about right here. A lackluster main event, some people would say, but it's a fairly important fight in the division. And if Marina Rodriguez can find a win here, a title shot should be next for her. Should be next for her. 4-fight win streak with a few good names in there. Watterson being one of them. Dern and Jan in her last fight. She is on a 4-fight win streak, and her only loss in the UFC is against the champ, right? So, I love her striking. One of the best in the women's MMA period. I love how she uses her elbows, mixing some kicks, and great striking. Great volume, which I love from her as well. Big question always is the one weakness. Can she stay on her feet? How's her grappling? How's her wrestling? She's improved, though. She showed it against Dern. She got taken down once in there and survived. So she does have some good defense on the ground. She's been working on her takedown defense and was able to stay upright in her last 2 fights. Lamos, not really a wrestler or a high-level grappler. She's more of a striker, has some power, so I think this could play into Rodriguez's favor here. She does have just over 1 takedown per fight. So yes, Lamos can get the fight to the ground and does have a grappling wrestling advantage over Rodriguez, I think. I just don't think it's a huge margin where I should be worried about it. Right, against obviously a Carlos Esparza where she just spams the takedowns. I get it. You're not going to want to bet Rodriguez in that fight. Not a great matchup for her. Lamos is not like that. She likes to stand. She likes to bang more. So I do think this plays into Rodriguez's favor. And I do think this plays into Rodriguez's volume and where she can win on the scorecards. Lamos, no really impressive wins, in my opinion. She has that split decision win over Angela Hill. Some people thought Angela Hill won that fight. Angela Hill is just a gatekeeper of the division now. Vet, though. Definitely a vet. She obviously has the one loss to Andrade. She stepped up in competition, fought Andrade. What did she do? She got submitted early. And then she has the win over Watterson, but Watterson has the 1 foot out the door mentality, in my opinion, at this later stage of her career. I'm not super high on Lamos. She can be dangerous, though. She does have some power in her feet. I just think Rodriguez will be quicker in there on her feet and have the more meaningful shots, more volume. And Lamos just hasn't fought 5 rounds. So I do favor Rodriguez here if it gets into the 4th and 5th round. Lamos has not... I'm not going to say she has bad cardio. She just hasn't shown me it. Rodriguez definitely a cardio advantage here. So if Lamos does try to grapple and try to get this fight to the ground, I think maybe that's her best path. I just don't know if she has that ability to just, bully Rodriguez in that department. So I don't like the price at minus 210. I favor Rodriguez in this matchup due to everything I just mentioned. Minus 210 is not a great play. It could make my betting card after I see the weigh-ins. Lamos sometimes can struggle with her weight, especially getting down to 115. She's a little bigger than Rodriguez, muscle mass-wise. Probably strength as well, but I just think Rodriguez should win this fight, probably by decision or a late stoppage. I wouldn't be surprised, 4th, 5th round. Lamos hasn't been there and hasn't been in those deep waters. I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez may get her out of there late, but I lean more to the decision on Rodriguez. I do think she gets it done. Don't love the fight, right? Women's MMA fight. It's not gonna. If it does get my attention, it'll probably be a smaller unit play on Rodriguez, and it'll be in some sort of 2-fight parlay or decision. Magny minus 120 versus Rodriguez plus 100. Main event and co-main event both have Rodriguez's, right? One Rodriguez, though, he's not Brazilian. I don't know what. I think he's Mexican. He has Mexican background. So, yeah, that may be a first. Very close fight, in my opinion. The line tells you that. Magny now a little bit older at 35. Should have back-to-back losses. However, the judges gave him that Griffin win. He did struggle to get the fight down to the ground. right? So that's where his path will be here against Rodriguez. Will he struggle again? Time will tell. And then obviously he fought Rakhmonov, and Rakhmonov just pretty much did what he wanted to do in that fight. Rakhmonov very high on him. He's definitely a killer. Can't wait to see his next fight. Magny, he is best when he can grapple and make it, a grinded out style fight, get the fight down to the ground. In this fight, Rodriguez, he can be taken down. I have seen him being taken down obviously before, but he does have some good get up. He's able to get the fight back up if he does get down, just lay there. I don't think Magny at this age at 35 can wrestle for 3 rounds, keep him down, and Rodriguez not get up. So what I think Rodriguez does, use his volume in this fight. Look at his volume, guys. Over 7.5. Very impressive. He just throws, and throws. And I think if he just does that, he'll win on the judges' scorecard. My favorite bet in this fight is probably the over 2.5 rounds. I'm going to lean Rodriguez. If I can get Rodriguez at plus money here, you're going to have to look that way. Like I mentioned, Magny, if this fight's staying on the feet for 3 rounds, I think Rodriguez has the bigger shots, the more meaningful shots, and the more significant strikes. So I would have to look at Rodriguez here at plus 100 if you're giving me that price. Magny, is he on his way out? He's been the gatekeeper of this division. If you can beat Magny, you can start fighting, the more top level guys in this division. So I think Rodriguez could get there. It's just, is his takedown defense... Is Magny going to go to that path to try to shoot, try to get this fight to the ground, try to get against the cage, make it ugly? He may, but I think Rodriguez is strong enough to get him off him, strong enough to keep it a striking battle, and I think Rodriguez does enough to get it done. Again, do I love the fight? No, but I like the value here on Rodriguez at plus 100. I'm going to have to look his way if I do bet this fight, but the over 2.5 rounds looks very appealing for me. Sherman, minus 125 versus Parisian, plus 105. Ugly one here, boys. Low-tier heavyweight fighters. Sherman finally found a win after they cut him. He lost 4 fights. I get it. He came back, got a win against Vandera, who's one of the worst fighters probably in the division and in the UFC, to be honest. Before that, Sherman had the 4-fight losing streak. UFC needed a guy. He came in on short notice, got the win. So they're rewarding him with another fight here. Parisian has been up and down in the UFC. Ugly losses, ugly wins, right? His wins over Roque Martinez and Alan Bordeaux. So very low level. And his guys that he lost to are low level as well. Mays is decent. And Parker Porter, very low level. Let's see here. Parisian, personally, his path, I think, would be to grapple and just try to get this fight down to the ground. That's where I think Parisian could win this fight. And he's durable. He's durable, so he can take Sherman's punishment. I do think Sherman's the better striker. I think he lands the bigger shots here. But if Parisian can make it an MMA fight, mix it up, I do think he can win here at plus 105. But I'll be staying far away from this fight, guys. My suggestion, stay away from this one. Low-tier heavyweights, anything can happen. Ulan Bakov minus 210 versus Manez plus 175. Usually a good betting theory when you attack fighters from Dagestan, right? When you attack fighters from Dagestan, that can pay off, right? And Tagir, he's from that region. He trains with Habib. He's just not at that level, right? A little more green. His grappling's good. Don't love his striking. Umar Nurmagomedov just fought Manez. Just fought him. Pretty much just grappled him to a decision win. He was able to hang in there, though, Manez, and he was able to go to a decision with Umar, who's probably one of the brightest prospects out there currently. So, I don't love that Tagir's minus 210 here. I don't love it. Manez is the better striker. Actually, he probably, what Manez does, he has like a more striking game over a volume, as you can see, under 2, which is very concerning. Under 2 strikes landed per minute. Manez can grapple a little bit too and wrestle, but I do think Tagir has the grappling advantage. So if Tagir's game plan is just get this fight down to the ground, that's going to be the smart thing, obviously. And he keeps improving. He's improving. When you're training with Habib every day and in their camps, you have to be getting better. Bilal showed it. And I do think Tagir is going to be better in this fight. Will it be enough? You know, obviously he's going to have a little more volume, but I do think Muniz is the better striker. So if Tagir just brings his fight down to the ground, make it ugly, make it a Khabib-style win, I do think he finds a way to win this fight, maybe even a possible submission later in this fight. He does have about 6 submissions here on his record, according to SureDog. So I have to go Tagir here. Don't love the price. I don't love the price, and outcome's tough because we could see a submission in this fight, or we could see a decision win. So Menez has decent defense on the ground. He showed it in the Umar fight. So I'm probably going to stay away from this fight, even though I do think Tagir has done enough in training to get better and to get a win here. But it's tough, right, for Menez. Back-to-back fights against Dagestan fighters. It's never a good thing to be fighting these type of guys, but it would be a big win for him. I wouldn't say he has no chance in here, but I do have Tagir winning this fight, you know, probably 7 out of 10 times. So there is some value here at minus 210 if you look at it in that way, but I just don't bet straight fights at this price, and I don't think I'll make my 2-fight betting card just because I'm not as high on Tagir as the other Dagestani fighters. And a good one to open up the main card, guys. Grant Dawson minus 220 versus Matson plus 180. This one should be a fun one. Could be fight of the night. Both guys were looking for fights, had issues finding fights, and then this one just landed in their lap, and it's a good fight. Very competitive fight. I expect 2 guys looking to get a number beside their name. I expect if whoever wins this fight gets a number. Matson doesn't. I could be wrong if Dawson does. I don't think Dawson does either. So I do think these guys get in the top 15 with a win here. Now, we know what these guys both can do. They both can wrestle, right? So usually when both guys can wrestle / grapple, they usually keep it on the feet. Both guys aren't great on the feet, guys. Both great guys aren't on the feet, right? Could Matson experience his first MMA loss here? We know how good of a wrestler is, Olympic wrestler, right? He's been training in Arizona with Henry Cejudo. He's moved from Denmark where the training's limited, and he's moved to enhance his MMA skills, right? Enhance his wrestling MMA, and enhance his striking and grappling with Henry Cejudo. Good team over there. Good team over there. And, you know, he showed a little bit against Pascal fight. Vince Pascal's a very tough fighter. Very tough out. He was able to get the win. It was a close fight, but I think he did enough in that fight. And he is improving every fight now. It's just plus 180. There's definitely value there at Matson. If you ask me to bet this fight, I probably won't make my client card, but it's going to have to be Matson just due to the value, strictly value. Right? Dawson has shown to gas. Matson's not going to gas. Great cardio. That's what I favor him in this fight, cardio. Probably the wrestling as well. It's just, will the fight get down there? I'm not too sure. We've seen Dawson gas in one of his fights in the 3rd round where the guy stole a 10-8 round on him. Not a high-level guy. Right? And it's because he gassed out. So I'm very concerned there with the gas tank. If this becomes a wrestling style fight, will Dawson be able to gas? And the striking, I don't know who's better. I'm not going to give you an opinion on who's better here. I think it's very close on the feet. So plus 180, there's value on Matson. I have this line more of Dawson minus 160. So there's value. This is a value bet on Matson at plus 180. Is going to make my client card? Probably not. Fight that I could definitely see going the distance. And over the 2.5 rounds, that may make my client card this weekend. So look that way. I think it's just going to be, you know, a slower style, grinded out type of fight. No guy really has a knockout power. I don't see that happening here. But I can see this fight being very competitive. And that's why I say there's value on Matson at plus 180 and over the 2.5 rounds. That will do it, guys. That will do it. UFC Vegas 64. We have a fun pay-per-view card coming up soon. So look out for that. Look out for my NFL Week 9 video also out tomorrow. That will do it, guys. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.